I don't remember how many teams have multiple rookies that we're going to go through, but I can assure you the Memphis Grizzlies are one of them. And we had to narrow it down to 2, despite them having like, what is it, like 12 that we could have chosen from.
So many, yeah.
Mr. Zach Edey, Grant, how we feeling about him?
Pretty much as advertised. He's out right now, but when on the floor, he just gives you the size, the offensive rebounding, the physicality, like all that stuff, and also that comes with it is like, yeah, it is kind of hard sometimes in space on defense for him, and like, you know, I don't know like what ultimately his offensive role should be. He does have like very good touch, and those little hooks that he shoots are like I think he is someone that can score. If it were 25 years ago and like post up centers were still a major thing, like I think he would just, you know, he's kind of in the wrong era, I guess, but he does have more, you know, you'd say like unconventional skills for a guy his size than I thought. But just good, you know, high rebound rate, block shots is a big deterrent in there. It's just kind of pretty much what we thought, right? Like, and like, again, he's another guy that he was thrust into a big role early. He's got more experience than some other guys, but still, like I'm mostly encouraged. He's another one though. I don't know, like kind of in the mold of Connect, of like how much better is Zach Edey going to get, and how much better do the Grizzlies need him to be? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not concerned at all. Some of the foul stuff, I actually thought that's been like a bigger issue than I would have expected. The other thing that I'm kind of just wondering, and I don't know if this is they're doing this specifically for Zach Edey or if this is how they want him to develop, but like over 4 post-ups per 36 minutes just feels high given the direction of the game and just like what type of mismatches are you looking for him to punish? And especially when I know the Grizzlies offense is still at its best when it's in transition or after they're grabbing an offensive rebound, which by the way, Zach Edey is a really big part of that. But I also find myself wishing sometimes when he's grabbing an offensive board that he would make a better decision with the ball there. So like their second chance offensive rating is fine. It's through the roof, but he's not shooting as well in putbacks as I would have expected. Again, I remain super high on him. And I think anyone who thought he couldn't necessarily hold up defensively in this, teams are shooting like more of their shots at the rim when he's on the court. I don't know how much of that has to do if they're going to get out in transition or if Zach Edey is just going to be too far in front of certain plays. But I think he's eventually going to be someone you look at, like he's a big deterrent on the interior, and he doesn't look physically or mobily overmatched in a lot of games, at least that I've seen.
And I think, you know, tiny sample, 6 of 10 from 3, and like the ball comes out pretty good. I think he has good touch around the rim and on full, you know, shorter hooks and stuff like that, as I mentioned. So there is a Brook Lopez possibility here. Like I think, you know, if
he is, by the way, I'm sorry I forgot to mention, but just like you mentioned Brook Lopez, he's contesting it's over 42% of all shots at the basket when he's on the court. And just for context, that's like about on the level of a Jared Allen. It's that's a good number to be at as a rookie, especially if teams are kind of actively looking to get you away from that area.
Yeah, so I could see he's a drop coverage big that maybe develops some 3-point shooting and it will be a better rebounder than Lopez for sure. So like there's a vision here. So
another Memphis Grizzlies rookie though here, Grant, Mr. Jaylen Wells, who now we talked about doing this exercise in September. Do you think that you thought we were going to have an individual segment on Jaylen Wells?
I would, yeah. It just, I don't know. Is he the most? We haven't gone all the way through, but like, gotta be the most out of nowhere huge rookie contributor, right? There's just no one else. Everybody else was you knew the name at least. You know, I don't think Wells was on almost anybody's radar as like a starting caliber wing. 50% plus from the field, 40% from deep. He has the wing size, can defend. Like really, I've mentioned this every time we've talked about him, which the fact that we've talked about Jaylen Wells multiple times in the first month of the season, I think speaks to what he's done. He's second among rookies in total minutes played, by the way. That's a factor. But he just defensively, like he competes, and there's the second effort stuff. That's the part I always mention, which is, again, there's not a stat for that. It's just you watch him play, and like he really does have the game that you could project forward as like this guy's a two-way wing that can do a little bit with the ball on his own too. Like that's just kind of a bonus, but got over 30 assists. That's up there high, certainly among rookie wings. Shoots the ball well, doesn't play outside himself, like all those cliches. It's just like, this is just a very good NBA wing that it was, I don't know, a draft afterthought to me, like was just someone that was projected as like the 30 or 40th best prospect in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, we probably just should have known that there were going to be injuries in Memphis and he would just play a shit ton. At this point, it should have, but like opening up the year, basically, oh, Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson are just out of the rotation. Like just knowing that even before the season started, maybe he should have been more on our radar. I would echo everything you said. The two things that have stood out that I think you like just didn't, well, you mentioned his defense. He is guarding number one options more often than anybody else on the Grizzlies. And by the way, like the Grizzlies don't suck on defense. And so like to have a rookie shouldering that type of workload and then to not suck on the defensive end, hey, that's pretty big deal. And then the shooting, like the 3-point shooting has been divine. Also, like quietly 47% on pull-up twos. It's like, no, not someone you necessarily want operating with the ball a ton. But like, are we about to have the conversation? Like, I kind of thought we might have had it with Gigi Jackson this year, but it's, have the Grizzlies kind of found like a wing, a properly sized wing of the future where it's not like Vince Williams, he's 6'4", but he kind of plays like he's 6'8", or Marcus Smart when they traded for him, kind of the same deal. So to now have two of those guys, if and when Gigi Jackson is healthy, that's like not insignificant for this team because they've needed a wing since like Rudy Gay.
Right. Oh man, it's really true. Yeah.
And I think some Grizzlies fans at the time would have argued even before that, like before you actually moved Rudy Gay. I think this was the easiest grade I gave out. A+.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the second rounder. A+. No, like, I don't know what else could you possibly have asked for him to do?
Devil's advocate this. Can you? I can't. Clingan, Mr. Hughes. Donovan Clingan, look, I've had to do mea culpas for him like 80 times already. But how do you feel about him?
I mean, lately, great for a minute. I mean, part of this is the roster makeup, right? Because there's 17 other centers, at least 2 of which the Blazers should hopefully trade. But it's taken a little while for Clingan to play. Now he's as 4 of his last 5 games, he's gotten over 20 minutes. And he's just had like these statistical outbursts. The most recent game against the Rockets had 19 boards. He has at least 1 block in every game and at least 2 in each of the last 5. He had an 8 block game against the Wolves, which was a win for the Blazers back on November 13th. Offensive rebound, like I bet you he's got the most offensive rebounds among rookies, even though he sort of was just like not on the floor as I'm scrambling to look that up. He has 54 offensive boards. That leads all rookies. He's played like 100 fewer minutes than like Yves Missi, Sarr, all these other guys, and way fewer than guys like Risache and on down the line. So he's been like, I don't know, maybe even a better version of what I thought he could be just lately now that he's playing. Because those, as an offensive rebounder and shot blocker, like you're helping on both ends. Like that's just what it is. Like the mobility stuff is an issue and all this other, like not going to be a spacer, obviously, but like, I don't know. I can see it on both ends, and to me more than Edey was a question mark because of the size and because of his game. So he's been really good lately, and I'm stock up and I'm buying.